and regardless of ethnicity. Mr. Speaker, during the administration of President Jonathan, we were recalled from recess by the former Speaker, Honorable Tambua, who is the governor of Sokoto State today. Precisely on the 9th of January, we convened from recess to come and consider a matter that was very, very important to this nation, because there were strikes and protests all over the country because of the intention of government by then to remove subsidy. Mr. Speaker, this very chamber, I am happy to say, though we are not many, some of us stood up and spoke in favor of the removal of oil subsidy. And I remember the next day, Daily Trust specifically published on its front page that people like me and many honorable members that were here, that we are the ones who want Nigerians to suffer, that we want the prices of fuel to increase so that the masses of Nigeria will suffer. I'm happy that posterity, even before we are dead, is exonerating us. Mr. Speaker, our reason by then was that we knew that this subsidy do not favor the common man. They just say it in papers that we are removing, we have subsidy in petroleum products. Mr. Speaker, let's be very honest today. Even as it is today, are we saying the man in Sokoto is aware of any subsidy? He buys this fuel at a price very exorbitant. And so, what is the subsidy the poor man is enjoying? So, Mr. Speaker, our reason by then was that there was a round-tripping cartel in the government and among people and among petroleum dealers, where they go and present papers and this money are round-tripped and they get their money without bringing in the products. Mr. Speaker, 6 years later, from 2012 to 2018, the government is going back to what we felt was very wrong, that this subsidy removal do not favor the common man. It favors the cartel. Mr. Speaker, I remember Speaker Tambol formed a committee to investigate the oil subsidy scam. We are aware in this country where monies running into billions of naira were realized to be defrauded people in the marketing sector of the petroleum product, defrauded the government. And up to today, Mr. Speaker, we say we are fighting corruption. I'm yet to see any of these marketers in prison today. The case keeps on lingering on. And we tell Nigerians we are fighting corruption. Mr. Speaker, this is very, very important. We must give teeth to this so-called fight against corruption. Now, you are bringing back subsidy without the approval of the National Assembly. And can we really say that this subsidy which they are paying is not the same process they were doing in 2012? Can we sincerely tell ourselves that this subsidy they are paying today is benefiting the common man? Mr. Speaker, my answer is no. And why I say no is this. Once we have a culprit who has not been punished and you go through the same business, I think it's just normal for me to defraud the government again, because I know at the end of the day I'm not going to go to prison. Mr. Speaker, up till today, like I said, those people that were indicted in the 2012 investigation by this very house are still roaming about, doing their foreign business, and we say we are fighting corruption. Mr. Speaker, I feel pained. I feel pained because we are not really doing what we are supposed to do. And I believe this honorable chamber, we are going to debate this issue not based on partisanship, but based on patriotism, to make sure what is done should be done rightly, regardless of who is affected. Wherever you are, whether you are APC, PDP, or ABGA, you also need fuel to do your business. And we must, as a chamber, ask that apart from prosecuting those who are indicted, this thing must stop. This issue of another subsidy payment, which will favor some cartel, and make the former court in favor of the removal of oil subsidy in 2012. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, before we continue the debate, I wanted to clear something from Honorable Karimi so that we're very clear. In the course of moving the motion, just sit down first. You did allude to the fact that because of rising cost of crude and the difficulty in accessing, I heard you very well, difficulty in accessing foreign exchange, that marketers are no longer importing petrol. So who is being paid this? If they are not importing, are you alleging that the payment is being made to marketers who are not importing? Because we have to get it very clear. I need to understand where we are heading to.
Mr. Speaker, NMPC, from the record available, they are even the sole importer. Whom are they paying subsidy to? It's something that we need to investigate.
You said they're paying subsidy to marketers. In the same breath, you are saying marketers are no longer importing. That is the confusion that I want you to clarify. Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Ali Iriasi. I represent Onwa Federal Constituency. First, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for that very brilliant question put to the mover of this motion. I want to urge this Honorable House that we have to be very careful, because the sentiment out there must at all times dictate what we do in here. The fuel we are talking about is not readily available as we are talking now. And the problem is not what we want to investigate. It is a hearsay about somebody said there is subsidy payment. Payment to who? Listen, payment to who? That's the question. Payment to who? Now you are just attempting to provide the question, the answer to your own question. What I expected to hear was that somebody is calling for investigation to know what is going on. It should not be that you pose the question, you answer it, and you say, that is it. There are too many gray areas to it. The point that must be made is that until you investigate, you cannot say for sure that NMPC pays subsidy to itself, because it doesn't work. Now, the point is, if you do not convert this motion to that of an investigation, we might be going on a wild goose chase. And it has to be an investigative motion. Thank you. That's not what he said. No, he was condemning. You can't condemn before you find out. That is the question.
Okay, the motion is urgent need to investigate. Honorable Pategi, you seem to be very conversant about issues like this.
Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, well, it's because I headed a committee in 2015 on this issue. Now, my colleagues, the matter here is very simple. It has to do with issues relating to budgeting and extra budgetary spending. These are the two issues here. The first one has to do with the fact that it does not matter who is getting the subsidy. So long as oil price keeps going up in the international market, which today is at $70, the price of PMS, which is fixed at 145 naira, it means that somebody who imports must receive subsidy. In this case, it is NMPC itself that is doing the importation. So it means NMPC is paying itself this subsidy amount. And now what it means is this. The point the Honorable is raising is that the Parliament doesn't know about it, the committees have not been informed, the Nigerian public has not been informed that extra monies are being paid. There's a difference between the 145 naira PMS price and the relationship with the price of crude that has gone up in the international market. Now, this problem cannot be resolved. So long as the price of crude keeps going up, more and more subsidy will be paid. The reason that Nigerians are unaware of it is because between the presidency and the NNPC, they've agreed that they should keep importing this crude at whatever cost. The Minister of State for Petroleum publicly announced to the Nigerian public that yes, the price of the landing cost of PMS is actually 170 naira. So we know that, which means there is a difference between 145 and the 170. That is the money that my colleague is talking about. Now, what we should do as a parliament is this, because Nigerians are worried. And this is why they accuse us of lacking in our constitutional rule of oversight. This is why this investigation must take place, so that those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that public finances are transparent will come before us and answer to these questions. We should set up another committee to verify this. This has been a pattern since when this Honorable has made me the ad hoc committee chairman for non-implementation of the 2015 capital budget. We discovered in that committee, and we informed the House by laying our report, that we had approved 142 billion that year for subsidy payment. But this administration went ahead at that time and had paid 220. And we had to advise them that they should bring a supplementary budget. And they brought that supplementary budget that year. When they brought the supplementary budget in 2015, they computed the additional subsidy payment up to the third quarter. It was in the wisdom of the Parliament that we even advised them, and the Nigerian public knows about it. This is the same thing they are doing now. The important thing is just to be informed as a Parliament that we've carried out our constitutional oversight over the Petroleum Ministry. But beyond that, this Parliament passed what we call the Fiscal Responsibility Act. And in passing that act, what informed the decision to pass it at the time had to do with transparency of the budget system, where some MDAs go on spending government money without authorization of the Parliament. One of those agencies of government is NNPC. I, as a member in 10 years, have not seen their budget in this House. Not on this floor. They do what they do, they sign contracts, they keep accounts abroad, unknown to the Parliament. And if we carry out this investigative hearing, it should include, and we must insist, the fact that NNPC budget should be brought to this floor for the first time. We should not take kindly to the fact that the ministers over the years have been carrying out, because this is the biggest sector in the Nigerian economy. And so long as we allow them to get away with them implementing their budget without parliamentary approval, this practice will continue. So in setting up that ad hoc committee, it should be one of those things that we should tell them to unravel and insist on. Thank you very much.
Before the chairman downstream speaks, there's something I want to further clear arising from the contribution of Honorable Pate. You seem to be understanding the picture. So really we are not investigating payments to marketers, but recovery of this subsidy by NNPC, since NNPC is the sole importer of this product as of today. Now the question that we'll look at constitutionally is whether NNPC can knock off this subsidy from monies standing to the credit of the Federation without express legislative approval. So that is the question that we must be addressing, I think. So, Chairman, downstream.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Comrade Akinlaja Joseph. I represent Ondo East, Ondo West Federal Constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The issue of this fuel. This House, as the House of the People, must take a decision to help this nation. Mr. Speaker, recall that you asked our committee to come back quickly during the holiday to come and tackle this problem. We got to know, Mr. Speaker, that the government said 145 naira per litre is what it should sell. The same government said landing cost is 171 naira per litre, and that people should sell at 145. We ask, Mr. Speaker, which magic? Who approved the difference, which is subsidy? Whether it is NMPC that is paying its subsidy to itself, or is paying it to marketers or everybody, it must come to Parliament for appropriation if subsidy has come back. But Mr. Speaker, it is true that this government paid subsidy of about 300 billion last year, but it is subsidy arrears to marketers. It is not current subsidy. That clarification I want to make. And the speaker, I mean, without coming to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, they decide to pay those subsidies. Now, the marketers themselves are saying that they are still owing them subsidy arrears. So nobody is importing, Mr. Speaker, as of today, apart from the NMPC. And which means there is 26 naira, Mr. Speaker, between 171 naira per litre and 145 naira per litre. The question now, which is on the floor, Mr. Speaker, who is paying that 26 naira without coming to Parliament? That's the explanation I want to make, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much for giving me the floor.
Sorry, Chairman, downstream. You know, you are own ambassador in this area, and by your own contribution, you've said that subsidies have been paid to marketers, but there were subsidy arrears. Were they provided for in the course of your oversight? Was this amount provided for, even if it's subsidy arrears, was it provided for in the budget, or how was it paid?
Mr. Speaker, the issue of a subsidy was not provided for. It is the Ministry of Finance and the meeting between Ministry of Finance and the marketers and all stakeholders that the President gave the approval that they should pay arrears of subsidy which they were owing the marketers to enable them come into the importation business. That was what happened, Mr. Speaker. No. Not budgeted for, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Hassan Saleh, I represent the people of Ado, Obalibu, Opogu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lend my support to this motion. Mr. Speaker, I think the Honorable Pategi has given us an insight as to what has transpired over the years and up to date. And it has been further, points have been further buttressed by the chairman of the House Committee on Downstream. Mr. Speaker, the crux of the matter is that there has been extra budgetary expenditure by the Parliament. Now that it has come to the floor of the House, we want to investigate it. Mr. Speaker, we all know that all the governments, successive governments, have made NNPC their honeypot. No matter what they do, that NNPC is where they dip their hands to do whatever they want to do. We cannot be talking about fighting corruption when it is the president that is the chairman of NNPC. He's the president, I mean, the chief of staff of the president and the chairman of NMDC. So yes, chairman of the board. So, Mr. Speaker, let us face facts. Let us investigate who gave them that right to spend 300 billion naira outside the approval of the parliament. So these are simple, straightforward questions that we must ask.
I guess from the contribution to the debate, one thing is obvious that without investigation, we may not get the facts right. Honorable Mbono.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Honorable Mbono. I represent Martin Mbono, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, all these issues that were raised and canvassed by the previous speakers as to the legality or the constitutionality of withdrawal of monies for payment of subsidy without the approval of the National Assembly boils down to Section 80, subsection 2 and 3 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I will tell the indulgence to read Section 80, subsection 2, and particularly subsection 3 of the Constitution. And it reads thus: no money shall be withdrawn from any public fund of the Federation other than the consolidated revenue fund of the Federation unless the issue of those monies has been authorized by the Act of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that the payment of this subsidy has not been authorized by the National Assembly. And the Constitution is the Alpha and Omega, is the grand norm of the land. There is a breach of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which we own both in the executive and the legislative arm of government have sworn to jealously guard, protect, and uphold. So there is a very serious breach of the Constitution that borders on executive arrogance and borders on executive recklessness. So we must make sure that the powers that is conferred unequivocally on the National Assembly by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should be jealously protected and guarded, so that
silence, please. All the honorable members, please.
Away by the executive arm of government. So this issue should be treated with all the seriousness that it deserves, because it's a flagrant violation of the Constitution. It's a flagrant violence that is committed on the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and should not be left to lie low. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Aminu Shehu Shagari, I represent the Yabo Shagari constituency in Sokoto State. My take on this issue, sir, is that I knew from the beginning that there was going to be a problem. The very moment
Order, honorable members, please.
The very moment the federal government said it was removing subsidy and taking the price of petroleum product at 1.5 naira per barrel, I knew there could be a problem. Because as at that time, the cost of the dollar to naira was about 190 to 200. And then all of a sudden, a very serious hike in the cost of dollar. And now we are talking about 361. And then at that time, the cost of petroleum per barrel, the cost of barrel was about 45 to 50. And now it's $70 per barrel. So you can understand that the federal government has found itself in a very precarious situation. Here it was, Nigerians had stomach 145 per barrel, and then it is not sustainable. So how can you come back and say, okay, we are now going to pay subsidy? And that is why maybe it had to be done the way it has been done. And I remember when we went on oversight, I happened to be a member of the Petroleum Downstream Committee. I asked one of the officials in one of the MDAs, are you paying subsidy? Because we are hearing rumors that subsidy is being paid on the ground. And he admitted, not in so many words, that such a thing was going on. So I don't want us to speculate so much, but let us, since this is an investigative motion, let us adopt the motion, and let us find out and speak from point of knowledge. Let us get all the facts, and then it comes to the floor of the House and make a resolution. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Flatter is an expert in petroleum pricing. Between EJ and Santos, one of you will speak, so interpret. I can't recognize the two of you from Edo State, one of you. So agree among yourselves who will talk. Flatter first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Abubakar Flatter. I represent the New Customer Good Federal Constituency, the Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, there are 4 issues. The first one is that, Mr. Speaker, nobody is importing petroleum products, including the NNPC. What is happening is that, Mr. Speaker, NNPC gives out crude, and in exchange, Nigeria receives refined products under the DSDP agreement. Therefore, nobody imports, including the NNPC. All that happens, NNPC gives out crude, and in return, NNPC receives refined products, Mr. Speaker. Now, the issue in contention is the freight charges, the landing cost. The landing cost for imports into Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, is very high because the NNPC and all stakeholders within the marine transport industry are in violation of Nigerian cabotage law. Under the cabotage law, 50% of all weight cargoes are supposed to be imported by Nigerian flag ships. As at present, Mr. Speaker, almost all imports of weight cargo into Nigeria are being handled by foreign ships. And foreign ships, all foreign ships, consider Nigeria as a war zone. Because they consider Nigeria as a war zone, they charge 3 times or 4 times what they would have charged other countries. Therefore, Nigeria is on the same platform with Afghanistan, with Somalia, and all other war zones. They charge high premium on their insurance. That accounts for the high charges on all imports. If we are going to abide by the cabotage law, we are supposed to, all imports are supposed to we can import products. The landing cost is not supposed to be more than 50 naira, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the first issue to be addressed is the landing cost. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the Platts index being used by PPPRA to compute the price of products, PMS in Nigeria, is not terrible. It cannot apply, the index cannot apply to Nigeria because amongst all of the counties, only Nigeria is involved in DSDP. Since we are involved in DSDP, the Platts index being used to compute this cannot apply to Nigeria. It can only apply to European and American countries. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, there is the sabotage within the stakeholders in Nigeria. There is a deliberate sabotage. You asked the chairman of the downstream as to whether there are people who collect dollars and they do not import. Yes, there are. The government gives out dollars at the rate of 305 to marketers to import, but none of them imports anything. All that they do, they allow NNPC to bring in the products under DSDP, then they go out offshore Lagos, offshore Dome, to buy the same products. They collect $305, $305 per dollar, then they import offshore Lagos. The same product that is imported by NNPC is the same product that they purchase. Therefore, there is a deliberate sabotage. Finally, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, DAPMA members of DAPMA, Depot Owners Association, Mr. Speaker, they don't have
Order, please. Silence, please. Silence.
DAPMA members are irrelevant in the value chain. They own depots. They allow NNPC to import. Then they go and buy the same product, X depot, from NNPC, and then they sell to marketers. They don't have outlets. They don't have filling stations. And they buy X depot. At what price do they sell? It's because they don't have outlets, Mr. Speaker, they now add some money onto the product they purchase from NNPC. This is one of the problems that is causing shortages, and in most of the cases, Mr. Speaker, they hold those products. There is one of the marketers, one of the DAPMA members that are involved in the crisis with the AFCC, because he collected, they gave him some products to him, and he sold out the products without the knowledge of the PPMC. And when they came for their products, there were no products. Therefore, there is a deliberate sabotage by marketers, there is sabotaging the government, there is sabotaging the system, and therefore, one of our resolution is that anybody, NNPC should not sell products to any marketer who does not have outlets, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there are hidden charges on the products. When marketers load, they pay charges for this, they pay charges to the daily. These are unregulated hidden charges. Now, when you give bribe, after lifting products, when you give bribe, how do you recover the money you paid as bribe to make profit? Mr. Speaker, these hidden charges must be, we will have to address the issue of hidden charges, issues of corruption. Thank you very much.
Between Sajos and Ija, I guess that because Ija has grey beds, he must have donated his time to Sajos. So, Honorable Sajos, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my highly esteemed colleagues. I am Sergius Ose Ogun. Mr. Speaker, I have agreed to speak for only 1 minute, so AG can take the other 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the mover of this motion, and I always look for a solution. My solution will be, now we are talking about sabotage here and there. If you deregulate the downstream sector, you take care of all this. The last time the minister was invited here, he had the opportunity to talk to us about the regulation. He was talking about price modulation. For the record, diesel, which is HGO, has been deregulated. But if you look at the rate at which the price of PMS goes up, it's not the same rate at which HGO goes up. So that gives us enough room to investigate what is going on. So, Mr. Speaker, my colleague Honorable Pasegi mentioned that the NNPC should submit their budget to us here. The chairman of Stream already brought the amendment to that. The law as it stands today, the Petroleum Act does not allow them to bring their budget here. The budget is to the president. So if that is amended, we cannot do anything. So just to take my 1 minute to allow my brother EJ I would suggest that we deregulate the downstream sector. It is very easy. Price is not going to go up. It's not going astronomically in the price of AGO today. Because, Mr. Speaker, we have suggested before, if you deregulate completely, you have the special companies out there and in Nigeria. Everybody will bring in their products. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Your 1 minute is gone. So, Honorable EJ, do you promise to spend just 1 minute? 1 minute.
My Honorable Speaker and dear colleagues, my name remains Honorable EJ Agwanima, representing the good people of Ego, Igobaba Federal Constituency, a member of APC. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me say this, Mr. Speaker, sir, and dear colleagues. Nigerians are watching us. Mr. Speaker, sir, NNPC is the problem along with the marketers. I have said this over and over again, Mr. Speaker. As of today, the 4 refineries in Nigeria, none of them is working. Every year, billions are spent for total maintenance of our refineries. Today, no refinery is working in Nigeria. What is going on? All these questions we are talking about is as a result of the failure of NNPC. They should be abandoned. And I'll say, the Minister of State for Petroleum, I thought he is a man that can make things happen for this country. But he has failed. He has failed this generation. And Nigerians are suffering. Go today, on my way to this chamber, people lined up, queued up to buy petrol, to buy fuel in their cars. All of us are going through pain and agony. Nobody is exempted. Whether you are poor or rich, what is wrong with this country? I believe that something needs to be done. Everyone has spoken. The sabotage that is going on in this country, all of us collectively, we are responsible, we should be accountable to this generation, and something good can come out of Nigeria. We cannot continue to live like this. We cannot continue, Mr. Speaker. Nothing is working. Nothing is working. And I want to appeal to Mr. President, those that try to delay the will of progress, that is not working towards this agenda, should be sent packing. They should resign. They should resign, Mr. Speaker. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Nigerians are suffering. Thank you.
We'll take one more contribution. Please. We'll continue from here. Honorable Shika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, I remain Abubakar Shika Adamu. I represent Tororo Abumia Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, though the issue raised is a mere allegation which cannot be impeachable offense until proven. However, Mr. Speaker, we need to know the system operating in Nigeria. Some assume the regulation and liberalization is the same. But Mr. Speaker, academically or practically,
silence,
regulation and
please, honorable members, please.
Under the PMS window, what is happening, Mr. Speaker, the window is being liberalized. If we can recall, there is what we call the crude oil swap agreement or crude oil swap contract, where I think about 400,000 barrels is issued out in return. The NNPC collect PMS. And Mr. Speaker, in this chamber, if I may recall, you inaugurated or you set up a committee headed by Honorable Zachary, I believe, to look into the crude oil swap issue. But I believe up to now, the report is yet to be turned to this chamber. But however, Mr. Speaker, what I realize, even if the sharp practices that is done by the NNPC, is the fact that the crude oil is being exchanged with PMS. Well, the major marketers, the IPMAN, are allowed under the liberalization window to participate in importing PMX. However, because the crude oil price has increased in the international market, the major marketers, the IMAN, can no longer do that. But however, the NMBC has the capacity to import more fuel or PMX into this country. The reason and the fact is that they sell now at a higher price, and that will allow them also to turn in PMS at the normal rate they usually operate on. But however, when I talk, or when people talk about subsidy, as long as subsidy will be done properly, I think I am somebody who supports subsidy. It is callous and inhuman for us to say that subsidy is not good for this country, because what is the salary earner getting at the end of the month if you do not subsidize certain services for him? So subsidy should not be looked at evil. In fact, at a time 20 years ago, I could remember I was doing research in terms of agriculture. America subsidized agriculture by $1 billion per day. But the only problem about our subsidy is the sharp practices. So I think we should operate, if America can operate a social system, Nigeria should also do the same. But Mr. Speaker, I think there is a need, before any committee is set up, we should ask the committee that is set up to provide information or to investigate the crude oil swap, to turn in its report, which I believe the next committee you are setting up will, this report will help them in discharging their mandate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues.
So that's the last contribution, and I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the first business of the day is presentation of 15 bills. And I invite the clerk to read their short titles.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Federal Capital Territory Directorate of Road Traffic and Motor Vehicle Administration Services Bill 2018, first reading. Personal Income Tax Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. Trustee Investments Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. National Automotive Council Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. Raw Materials Research and Development Council Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. Alex Ekweme Federal University of Technology Oko Establishment Bill, first reading. Private Detectives and Investigators Bill 2018, first reading. Alcohol Advertisement Health Warning Bill 2018, first reading. Advanced Fee Fraud Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. National Planning Commission Act Amendment Bill 2018, first reading. Street Vendors Protection and Livelihood and Regulation of Street Vending in the Federal Capital Territory Bill 2018, first reading. Energy Commission of Nigeria Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018, first reading. Commercial and Industrial Development Authority Promotion and Incentive Bill 2018, first reading. National Infrastructure Development Bill 2018, first reading. Federal University of Technology Ogoja Establishment Bill 2018, first reading.
Honorable colleagues, first order of the day is commencement of debate on general principles of bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Jama'ari, Bauchi State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, training, technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Isa Hassan Mohammed. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time Tuesday, 21st of November 2017, and now invite Honorable Mohammed to move that the bill be now read the second time. Rules and business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I move to step down item number 1 on the order paper as Honorable Isa Hassan Mohammed is not available to move.
Item 1 on the order paper stepped down by leave of the House. The second order of the day is commencement of the debate on general principles of bill for act to repeal the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, and establish Federal University of Technology, Lagos, provide training and teaching instructions in every aspect of education and social fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration, discipline of students, and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. Honorable members who recall the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 31st October 2017. I now invite Honorable Tajuddin to move the bill. We now read the second time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. I represent the Federal Constituency of Kaduna State. Honorable Speaker, I move that the bill for an act to repeal the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, and establish Federal University of Technology, Lagos, to provide training and teaching instructions in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration and disciplines of students, and for related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Aminu Ashurumani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Aminu Ashurumani is my name, member representing Bidawamani. I am from Katsina State. I rise to second the motion. I rise to second the bills you read for the second time. Thank you.
Honorable Abbas, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. This bill is essentially intended to repeal the laws that establish Federal University of Technology, Yaba, and replace it with Federal University of Technology, Yaba, Lagos. Honorable Speaker, the objective of this bill is to establish Federal University of Technology by converting or upgrading the above-mentioned polytechnic. There have been this sustained agitation by the Nigerian public and attempt by successive governments in Nigeria to increase the admission spaces among the federal universities in Nigeria. So far, all the measures put in place to give effect to this agitation by the successive governments have not really satisfied these demands. Stakeholders have recommended 3 options. The first one was to extend the infrastructure in these existing universities. The second was to convert some identified first-generation polytechnics to universities. And the last option was to establish new universities. Of these 3 options, the most cost-effective option is the conversion of some first-generation polytechnics into universities. To give effect to this line of thought, key stakeholders in the educational sector in Nigeria identified and recommended the conversion of first 3-generation polytechnics to federal universities of science and technology. One of them is the Polytechnic in Yaba, Lagos. The other is Kaduna Polytechnic in Kaduna, and the other one is IMT Enugu in the southeast. Mr. Speaker, dear honorable colleagues, permit me to give you a brief profile of the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, so that you will appreciate why it was selected for upgrade to a university status. Yaba College of Technology is the oldest tertiary institution in Nigeria and the oldest polytechnic in the West Africa sub-region. The polytechnic generates about 1.743 billion naira in annual revenue, making it the institution with the highest IGR among all polytechnics in the country, and 4th among all tertiary institutions in the country. The Polytechnic is also reputed to have over 309 PhD holders, which is the highest among all Nigerian polytechnics. And it is ranked as the third compared to all federal universities of technologies in the country. The staff strength as well as student population of the Polytechnic is the second highest among all polytechnics and federal universities of technologies in this country. The infrastructural facilities of the polytechnic compare favorably with the first generation universities in Nigeria. The benefits of this conversion to the nation are many. Some of them are as follows. It will increase the admission spaces for university education by absorbing the backlog of candidates who are otherwise qualified for admission but due to limited spaces could not be admitted by existing universities. Another benefit is it will align our educational system with the best global practice. The trend worldwide is to convert well-established polytechnics and monotechnics to universities, to bridge and harmonize the disparity between polytechnic and university education. The United Kingdom, from where we borrowed our educational system, have converted all their polytechnics to universities. By so doing, unnecessary duplication of courses and outdated courses were weeded out their educational system. It will also refocus our educational system to the promotion of science and technology. The trend for modern education is same. That is promotion of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. All the developed countries have adopted this policy and put infrastructure in place to promote it. The establishment of this University of Technology is our own way of giving effect to this policy. It shall serve also as a test case for the conversion of other polytechnics to universities in the country. The polytechnic involved in this bill shall serve as a test case for this experiment. If it is successful, it will serve as a model for the conversion of other polytechnics to universities in Nigeria in the future. It also gives room for optimal utilization of the facilities and manpower in this institution. The resources in terms of manpower and infrastructure existing in this polytechnic supersedes what obtained in most federal universities of technology in this country. Therefore, maintaining this institution as a polytechnic amounts to underutilization of scarce resources. The polytechnic is a center of excellence, but because of the discriminatory patronage of polytechnic education in Nigeria, it has been reduced to dumping ground for separated students. Converting it to a university shall restore its appeal as a center of excellence, thereby attracting the base of students and academics. The polytechnic is not open to postgraduate studies at the moment, even though it has the capacities and facilities for postgraduate studies. If it is converted to a university, it will be empowered to undertake postgraduate studies just like any other established university in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, in conclusion, I would like to draw your attention to the establishment of this university in the specified location is long overdue. The job is even made easier because there are facilities in place in this location to accommodate this university. Besides, Nigerians are demanding the establishment of more universities. This is an opportunity for us to write our names in gold in the history of this country. I urge you all to stand and support this bill. Thank you very much.
Honorable Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jimo Abrahim Olajide. I'm from Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill, sir, is well intended. And after so much consultations here and there, I want to support the bill. For this basic principle and the merit behind it, this institution is in my ward, In other words, it is also in my constituency. And I believe if you go there right now, there are so many structures and facilities in place that have been put in place before now, even though the upgrading has been done by executive yards. The executive yard cannot work without a law in place. This is a necessity, it is compulsory, and we must have it. One, for this reason, upgrading of that institution to Federal University of Technology, Yaba, Lagos, will be a progressive thing that will happen within that constituency, that local government, that state, and Nigeria as a whole. That establishment of that school and upgrading it from Yaba College of Technology to university will bring more good things to come, assets and some other valuable things. I'm quite sure they have landed property in the area. If this is upgraded and is repeated and upgraded to Federal University of Technology, Ekpe Axis is also developed. That's another answer. Mr. Speaker, I think the president that has come out with this bill have a good intention. Not only this, when after Yamatech has been upgraded and is still repeat, I know Kaduna Polytechnic will also be affected. I know Institute of Technology in Enugu will also be affected. It will bring more tangible things to Nigeria, and that will show a kind of unity we have been clamoring for in Nigeria. And institution meant for federal government is for every single person. Whether you are north, south, south, east, south, west, south, we are one, and we must remain one. Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Bangosho Hoton Joseph. I represent Badagry Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise up to support this motion, this bill. And I want to equally salute the courage of the presenter of this bill for this second reading. Mr. Speaker, this bill for the upgrading of Yaba College of Technology, Yaba College of Tech to a federal status is a welcome idea. If you look at it, gone are those days when we have standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We upgraded our primary schools into standard to primary school status, and you go to secondary school. Now this one is upgrading, and it will help to align with the best practices, global best practices, and it will also equally upgrade the quality of products from that school. Like my colleague has said, so many upgrading has started going on there with through the executive yard. But with this bill coming up with a law backing it up, it will make it more, lawful. And Speaker and my distinguished colleague, I want us to support this bill to ensure that this particular institution is upgraded and to Federal School of Technology, Yaba. And with this, I beg the whole honorable member to support it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Wali Raji. I represent a federal constituency of Lagos State. First, I want to thank my good friend, Honorable Abbas, for sponsoring this bill. It is a education in Nigeria. We know that Yaba College of Technology is one of the oldest tertiary institutions in Nigeria. And in terms of facilities,
it has more than enough facilities to qualify for upgrade to a university. And also, when we look at from available statistics, not more than 10% of students that are qualified for university admission in Nigeria today get admitted. So by upgrading Yaba College of Technology to a Federal University of Technology will definitely be addressing the problem of inadequate spaces in Nigerian universities, and therefore will be satisfying the yearning of our young men and women seeking university education, particularly now that the cost of acquiring foreign degrees is very expensive in view of the high rate of foreign exchange. So I therefore wholeheartedly support this bill, and that that the bill be passed for second reading. And I urge all my colleagues, lovers of education, which we are, to support this bill. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute. Honorable colleagues, I thank you for listening attentively to the mover or the sponsor of the bill. If we have people like this sponsoring bill for institutions not in its own geographical region, Nigeria is moving ahead. According to the former First Lady of Nigeria, in person of late Maryam Babangida, she said that, coach, who can talk better of women than women themselves? How does this relate to me? Who can talk better of Yaba College of Technology better than the product of Yaba College of Technology? I come before you as a product of Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, where I excel. When you look at the Institute of Education in Nigeria, Yaba College happened to be the first higher institution in Nigeria established in 1947. The product of that institution was transferred to University of Ibadan in 1948. If you can have an institution like that, established as the first institution in Nigeria, and has produced eminent personalities that we can measure many, when late Admiral Aikom came to Yaba College of Technology. He graduated from that school, and Babangida himself named Yaba the Great because of the product that has come out of that institution. Now, what is needed of that institution is to become a full-fledged university. How do we come about College of Technology or Polytechnic? From our Corona Masters, if London City Polytechnic can become London City University, Sheffield City Polytechnic can be known as Sheffield City University. All and another like that. Nothing stops Yaba College of Technology of becoming a federal university with their first courses. When you are in a polytechnic or College of Technology, the number of courses that are going to be attracted that you can do is limited. Whereas as a university, you have a lot of courses that you can do. And Yaba College of Technology have acquired the status that are producing a lot of graduates, have be tested and trusted, producing the graduates, and they have material, both in terms of man and land masses. Then nothing again than to give this institution the needed recognition. The federal government has been saying it, but there has not been a law back it up. With this one now, I think Yaba College of Technology coming to Yaba
Lagos Polytechnic, University is better. And the landmass, as we can follow the members, go prepare, they have a lot of landmass that can even accommodate as many as possible students. And when you are looking at the admission policy of Nigeria now, many of our students are going to private universities because they cannot get admission. And you will see many of them are good products. And imagine somebody finishing with first class from all those universities. And if they don't get admission, what will have come of them? They will have stayed at home. And the rate of crime, unemployment, and all those things that will be coming, products that are supposed to be used in the country will not be. So on the basis of this, I enjoy all my members to please give me the needed support so that the bill can be passed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for listening to my discussion. Thank you, honorable members.
Honorable.
I'm Honorable Femi Adebanjo. I represent Kalimosho Federal Constituency. I rise to support the bill, and I congratulate Honorable Abbas for moving this bill. I'm going to start with the certificate of technology. We all know that OND, many that went to technology school, they go back to university with OND and start from 100 level. If you have bad tech, it's turned to university, this will no longer happen. And in any institution, if you tender OND, HND compared to BSc, the preferred certificate is always BSc. So Yaba Tech should become Yaba University, and it is preferable to the whole Nigeria, not only Lagos State, that we change many of our technology schools to university and have technology department. Yaba Tech was established in 1947. The students, the graduates of the school, they are to be reckoned with concerning any technology certificate in Nigeria. We have many innumerable people that graduate present here today to support this bill so that Nigeria can move forward educationally and technologically. Thank you very much.
Honorable colleagues, I'll put the question. The question is the bill will now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to repeal the Yaba College of Technology, Lagos, to establish Federal University of Technology, Lagos, to provide training and teaching instructions in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration and discipline of students, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to Committee on Tertiary Education Services. Third order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on the general principles of Bill for an Act to amend the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Act Chapter F18, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for national stations in each of the geopolitical zones, Abuja and Lagos, to enhance its efficient service delivery and for related matters, studying the name of Honorable Garba I. Mohammed. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 30th November 2017. I now invite Honorable Garba to move that the bill be now read the second time. Honorable Garba, when you are done, please approach the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Garba Ibrahim Mohammed, representing Gwale, Federal Constituency of Kano State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, may I move that a bill for an act to amend the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Act, CAF F18, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for national stations in each of the geopolitical zones, Abuja and Lagos, to enhance its efficient service delivery and for related matters be read the second time. Thank you.
Seconder, Honorable Bambose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I am Honorable Bangboshi Antonio Joseph. I represent Badagry Federal Constituency. I rise to second the bill moved by Honorable Garba. I so second. Thank you.
Honorable Garba, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, permit me to lead a debate on a bill for an act to amend the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of national stations in each geopolitical zones, Abuja and Lagos, to enhance the efficient service delivery of the corporation. Mr. Speaker, the role of the press, radio, television, and other agencies of mass media in sensitizing the general public to appreciate the dynamics of governance process and their roles in sustaining the democratic process to facilitate good governance and development cannot be overemphasized. Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution as amended guaranteed a right to freedom of expression and the press, which include freedom to hold opinion and to receive and import ideas and information without interference. Similarly, under Section 22 of the same Constitution, the press, radio, and television and other agencies of mass media shall at all times be free to uphold the fundamental objectives as provided in this chapter of the Constitution. Radio broadcasting was introduced in Nigeria in 1933 by the then colonial government. It relayed the overseas services of the BBC through white system with loudspeakers at the listening end. The service was then called Radio Diffusion System. The federal government of Nigeria at present owns and operates the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. This organization was established by Act of Parliament with the Ministry of Information as its supervising ministry. Today, the FRCN, as a public broadcaster with its headquarters in Abuja, has national stations in Enugu, Ibadan, Kaduna, and Gwagwalada, plus a Lagos Operations Office. The national stations and Lagos Operations Office control the 37 FM stations spread across the country, reaching more than 1 million listeners, broadcasting in 15 languages, catering to the diverse broadcast needs of a multi-ethnic Nigerian and uplifting the people and uniting the nation. The corporation also has 4 of its stations streaming live audio at the internet, thus reaching millions more in the world. It is against this background, Mr. Speaker, this bill is proposed in order to establish more national stations in the geopolitical zones, Abuja and Lagos, to enhance its efficient service delivery, among other objectives. The main objective of the bill is, among others, reposition the FRCN to acquire capacity to meet information needs and expectations of the Nigerians to enhance the efficient service delivery. Number 2 is to diversify the services of the corporation to ensure listeners' satisfaction. Number 3 is to facilitate productivity, efficiency, and organizational loyalty through a well-defined administrative hierarchy. Then to promote the interests of its listeners through programs that accommodate religious, cultural, and linguistic diversification of its listeners. Then the bill has 7 clauses. Clause 1 amends the Principal Act, which established the corporation. Clause 2 amends Section 7 of the Principal Act, which deletes the word managing, since all the national stations have directors, so they are no longer managing directors. Clause 3 amends Section 14 of the Principal Act by substituting the entire section for a new clause which provides for the establishment of the national stations in each geopolitical zone, Abuja and Lagos. Clause 4 substituted the existing 15 provides the citation of the bill. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues, in view of the efforts currently being made by the federal government of Nigeria to diversify the Nigerian economy, the need for speedy passage of this bill cannot be overemphasized. I therefore urge my respected colleagues to support this bill, that the bill be read the second time and committed to committee for further legislative action. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Bambose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, I am Honorable Bambose Oton Joseph. I represent Badagry Federal Constituency. I rise to support this second reading of this bill, in that what this bill seeks to achieve is that we all know that information is power, and for people to be adequately informed about government activities, this is very, very important, that the bill is seeking to provide Federal Radio Corporation in all the geopolitical zones, so that all the zones can be adequately informed about government activities. At this millennium period that we are today, I think it is very important that we ensure well dissemination of information to our people. And it is on this note that I am seriously and very, very interested in supporting this particular second reading of this bill. And I want to urge all my honorable colleagues that we know information is very important. We should support this bill so that it can scale through the second reading. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next contributor. Okay, Honorable Sanizoro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, Sanizoro, representing Gumel, Gagarawa, Sule, and Megateri Federal Constituency from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, in supporting this motion, I just want to highlight certain areas which I think need to be captured. In as much as I agree that Section 22 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, has defined the obligations of the media, especially radio, television, as captured by the mover of the motion. He has also talked about Section 39 that confers actually the right for all Nigerians or individual Nigerians to own television or radio stations as they may wish. I just want to highlight additional requirements in the broadcast industry. In my own opinion, that industry requires profound reform, much more than the additional stations that the bill canvasses to support. And I have my reasons. The Nigerian Television Authority today has 128 or so television stations. Each senatorial district had a television station opened during the President Olusegun Obasanjo administration. But out of these 109 stations senatorial in the senatorial districts, there are hardly 5 of them that function anymore. Clear waste of resources, clear waste of manpower. The Nigerian Television Authority is struggling now to see how it can utilize the stations that it has. But certainly those senatorial districts are not coming back. Now, the FRCN, yes, it is a good idea if we have zonal stations, but by the argument or by the provision of the proposed bill, it is only probably 2 or more that we need to add. Otherwise, like it was indicated, Kaduna, Enugu, Lagos, and Gwagwalada already have such zonal stations, if you wish. Now, Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, the issue of broadcasting being supervised by the Honorable Minister of Information, Culture, and so on, as provided for in this bill, needs to be looked at. Now, Section 13 that says power of minister to give directives. The minister may give the corporation directives of a general character or relating generally to particular matters with regard to the exercise by the corporation of its functions under this act. We shouldn't be operating this kind of thing in the 21st century. Reason is this, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. The honorable minister, depending on his political affiliation, depending on his mood, can just wake up one day and give orders to the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria or any federal government or media that is patently illegal, or those that will undermine Section 22 and Section 39 of the Constitution. I give you an example. There was a time of recent when a minister directed the Nigerian Television Authority to be airing the press conferences and activities of honorable ministers who does a study of the British Broadcasting Corporation services, because the British Broadcasting Corporation has remained the #1 public broadcaster in the world. And what does it do? British Broadcasting Corporation only of recent decided to open or establish a pidgin English service in Lagos. And then before the end of this year, it will open the Yoruba as well as Igbo services, in those parts of the country. Fine. But most strategically, if you look at the strategic plan of the BBC up to the year 2050, it is about close collaboration with FM stations all over the world so that its programs are rebroadcast. In Niger, for instance, it has such collaboratory agreements with no less than 20 stations. In Nigeria, it has also with so many rebroadcasts, MOUs, and so on and so forth. In the Caribbean, everywhere in the world. So that gives it the edge over any public broadcaster in the world. Again, if you look at the structure of the BBC, which we are trying to mimic, BBC 4, BBC 2, and so many others, these are stations that broadcast specific programs that appeal to the different communities or sectors, not only of the British society, but the global listening publics. Number 4, which is the last point I would want to bring to the attention of my honorable colleagues, is the fact that the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, which grants licenses to broadcasters or those wishing to establish broadcast stations in this country, needs to be reformed as well. As I speak, if you go into the site of the NBC, you do not have a list of the radio and television stations that it has licensed. except if it had done this yesterday. The level of transparency that is required for such a regulatory and licensing body needs to be improved upon. For instance, if you want to apply for a radio license, you will have to do an application for a form, just for a form. While in Niger, or its counterpart in Britain, which is called Oxfam, you just go to the website and you download a form and you fill, and the process starts. So if we want to establish new radio stations, the minister will just direct that radio stations be established, and the problem is that they may not be viable financially and otherwise. So in supporting this bill, I would want to enjoin my honorable colleague, Honorable Garba Mohammed, as well as all those who subscribe and should support this bill, to enhance the law by making input even before the public hearing that will, give way for further processing. I thank you very much.
So I'll put the question. Question is the bill we now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Clerks invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria Act, Chapter F18, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for national stations in each of the geopolitical zones, Abuja and Lagos, to enhance its efficient service delivery and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values. Fourth order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debates on general principles to bill an act to amend the Federal Government Staff Housing Board to administer a housing loan scheme for federal public officers and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Gogo Bright Tamuno. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 23rd November 2017. I now invite Honorable Gogo to move that the bill be now read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Gogo Rice Tamuno. I'm a German from Rivers State. I represent Okrika Ogubolo Federal Constituency. I rise to move that a bill for an act to amend the Federal Government Staff Housing Board to administer a housing loan scheme for federal public officers and for related matters be read the second time. I so move.
Honorable Pondi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Julius Babuzo Pondi. I represent the very kind people of Bluetooth Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm an German from Delta State. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by my brother. I still second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gogo, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, I will not bore you with so much, but to say that this housing scheme started far back 1959 and is domiciled under the office of the head of Civil Service of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to administer loans to public servants who desire to satisfy their housing needs for themselves and their families. Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues, this scheme started as a separate entity until the government keyed into it in 1960. And by 1974, Decree 6
of 1974 was promulgated to give it a legislative backing. And since then, the housing scheme Africa, the last amendment was made in 1977, over 41 years ago, to include the judiciary, legislature, armed forces, and other paramilitary agencies to join the scheme, because the scheme was initially for the core civil servants. And since then, there have been no amendments. So you will agree with me that 41 years after, we need to bring this scheme, this bill, to be at par with modern realities. When you go into the bill, you see things like chief land officer, old nomenclature that was used in the days of the military in the 70s.
How effect everywhere, even in the state, everyone doing this.
To bring it with power with modern realities, we have resolved as a committee, through me, to bring forth to this House amendments on sections 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. All these sections are geared at bringing what is happening in the board at par with modern realities. Without bugging you, my dear colleagues, I want you to give this bill the required support so that it be read the second time for the bill to conform with modern realities. Thank you, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker.
Any contributor to the debates? So I put the question, and the question is the bill being now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Invite the clerk to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Government Staff Housing Board to administer a housing loan scheme for federal public officers and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill is referred to Committee on Housing. Fifth order of the day, honorable colleagues, is a motion on need to carry out a comprehensive audit of the internally generated revenues, IGRs, remittances into the Federation account by federal medical centers, teaching hospitals, and other tertiary health institutions, specialist hospitals across the country from 2011 and 2017, standing in the name of Honorable Solomon Bulus Myron. Honorable Myron is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, Engineer Solomon Myron is my name, and I represent the very good people of Mangobo Cultural Constituency. I am from the home of peace and tourism, Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, with me here is a motion on the need to carry out a comprehensive audit of the internally generated revenues and IGRs remittance to the Federation account by the Federal Medical Center, teaching hospitals, and other tertiary health institutions, including specialist hospitals across the country, between 2011 to 2017. The House notes that the federal government has more than 70 tertiary health institutions, including 70 teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, and specialist hospitals spread across the country. Also note that between 2011 and 2017, there had been budgetary allocations ranging from between 10 billion to over 11 billion to the tertiary health institutions, amounting to over 4.5 trillion over the period. Further notes that those allocations cover recurrent, over and capital expenditures, including procurement of drugs, hospital equipment and furniture, in those tertiary health institutions for the purpose of providing quality health care delivery to Nigerians and foreigners within the country. Concerned that in spite of the huge annual budgetary allocations, the non-availability of medical consumables and other non-functional or outdated medical equipment in most of those health institutions, and lack of proper handling and treatment of ailments have led to some Nigerians seeking medical treatment abroad, thereby adversely affecting the nation's economy, especially in areas of transfer of technology and capital flight. Aware that those tertiary institutions, being public institutions for health care delivery, also serve as revenue-generating agencies of government by providing medical, surgical, radiological, pathological, laboratory, hematological consultancy, and ambulance services, respectively, and such other services related to health issues in exchange for financial payments. Also aware that all revenue generated in the last 18 years, which were estimated at over 7.9 trillion, and were expected to have been paid into the Federation account, were disposed without authorization. Further aware that those institutions have collectively remitted less than 200 billion to the Federation account within the years under review. Informed that there are a lot of leakages and high level of secrecy surrounding the revenue generated and remittances to the Federation account through misapplication, misappropriation, and diversion at those facilities. Realizes that if those internally generated revenues were remitted to the Federation account, it will have gone a long way in increasing the allocation of the health sector to at least 15% of budgetary requirements as stipulated by the World Health Organization, and by extension improve the quality of healthcare delivery in the country. Believes that unless steps are taken to checkmate those anomalies, the tertiary health institutions and the entire health sector system in the country may collapse. Resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to carry out a comprehensive audit of the internally generated revenues and remittance to the Federation account by the federal medical centers, teaching hospitals, and other specialist hospitals across the country, and report back to the House within 12 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
What? Who is raising a point of order? Okay, we'll call your point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ukondugwe Ngole, member representing the Chuaka Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I come under personal explanation on this motion raised by Honorable Solomon Mari. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I would like to inform this House. So, Mr. Speaker, this will amount to replication of the day, and in the as a personal explanation.
Honorable Bago, what is the Honorable Nkole, please take your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Mohammed Umaru Bago. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, you understand that this matter is already before the Committee on Public Accounts. We're already investigating this issue. As such, in law, delegatus non poter delegari, we cannot redelegate responsibilities that we have been assigned to do. So, Mr. Speaker, on that note, I want to call that to order. Thank you, sir.
Who is delegating the responsibility?
Point of order.
Honorable Bago, who is redelegating the responsibility that has been delegated to him?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the content of the motion, Mr. Speaker, the prayer is that Mr. Speaker, who has given the powers to the Committee on Public Account to do the responsibility, it has to redelegate that responsibility, Mr. Speaker, to another committee to do it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senior Advocate Bago. Honorable Betty.
Mr. Speaker, please, I want to get something, for us to get something clear in respect to this motion. The responsibility of the Committee on Health Institutions is to do to do this job. Now, the Public Accounts Committee has audit queries that has to do with teaching hospitals and federal medical centers. which they are looking at. But I've also found out that the Public Account Committee has gone beyond their scope of work by going to do investigations away from the audit queries. Their responsibility is on audit queries submitted to them from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. So even the Public Account Committee is going beyond their scope of work as relates to this motion. And I want to say that this motion already is part of the responsibility of the House Committee on Health Institutions to look at internally generated revenues and other issues concerning the health institutions. So even the Public Account Committee needs to be called to order to restrict their responsibility to just issues of audit queries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My take on this is there are issues that are raised in this motion. Honorable Betty is correct. It should go to, these issues should be handled by the Committee on Health Institutions. But I think we should allow the mover of the motion to complete and bring out those issues while we amend the prayers to send it back to the Committee on Health Institutions. That's my take on it, sir.
Honorable, okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and fellow colleagues. I remain Oluwole, okay? I'm from Osun State, representing Obokun Uriade. Mr. Speaker, I have the privilege of being a member of our House Committee on Public Accounts. And, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have substantially, Mr. Speaker, dealt with this issue. The House Committee on Public Accounts set up ad hoc committees on zonal basis to look at this issue. Excuse me, let me land now. I'm speaking for that. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to the mandate conferred on House Committee on Public Accounts, we set up another committee to look at the issue being canvassed under this motion. Mr. Speaker, in Yoruba land, when you hit a drum too much, the drum would tear, the leather would tear. So, what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, in essence, I'm speaking for in support of what you are saying, and you are attacking me. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you go further to entertain this kind of motion and prayer, Mr. Speaker, we will be overheating the MDAs.
Okay, in view of the controversy this motion has generated, it appears that we need to resolve some things. The public accounts, we all know what they're charged with under our rules. That is audit queries. So, no. Audit queries. You can't use audit queries, basically. And so if they are overreaching themselves, it is only proper for us to call them to order. Now, the only other thing that I thought the chairman of the relevant committee will say is to say that they are already looking into this and this is how far they have gone. Otherwise, we've had this kind of motion based on activities of other committees of the House that are competently constituted and charged with the responsibility. So if you are not performing this particular responsibility, a case will be made that something be done about it. But you didn't even make reference other than saying it's our responsibility.
Mr. Speaker, we're already working on it, and you're also aware that just before we went on vacation, I moved the motion on outsourced services because the teaching hospitals and the federal medical centers are all cash-strapped. Because the federal government since 2015 has not released any money to pay the outsourced staffs, including drivers, cleaners, and actually most MDAs. But it's so bad in the teaching hospitals because most of the hospitals cannot be cleaned because we don't have, they are not paying the salaries of outsourced staff. So we are looking into all of that. So the
okay. Chairman, rules and business. I think it's only fitting for us to step it down and then we'll re-examine the issues. There's any need to bring it, release it, we'll release it again. So please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In view of that, I move that item number 5 on the order paper be stepped down. I so move.
Item number 5 on the order paper, stepped down by leave of the House. My earlier reference on item number 4 on the order paper, which was a motion on Federal Government Status Committee of the House. Sixth order of the day, honorable colleagues, a motion on need to investigate the incessant arrest, brutality, malicious prosecution of Nigerian students by Indian police authorities, standing in the name of Honorable Frederick Abedi. Honorable Abedi is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, my Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Agbedi Yejemene Frederick. I represent Sabama Kremon Federal Constituency, the Zonkeme. I am from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, need to investigate the incessant arrests, brutality, and malicious prosecution of Nigerian students by Indian police authorities. The House notes that sometime in 2017, some Nigerian and other African students studying in India were attacked by unruly Indian mobs in the district of Greater Noida, a suburb of Delhi, who beat them to a state of unconsciousness. Also notes another attack in Noida, Uttar Pradesh state, where 5 Nigerians were beaten and badly wounded due to the belief of the mob that the death of an Indian student was as a result of an overdose on drugs allegedly supplied by his Nigerian colleague. Informed of a new and rising trend of profiling, arrests, police brutality, and malicious prosecution of Nigerian students by the police, including the incident of 30th December 2017 at Yaprem, Telangana Street, where some Nigerian students like Chidebube Chukwuma, of 19 years old, Priscilla Sunday, and Shola were arrested and taken away, and it took the frantic efforts of colleagues and a human rights lawyer to locate their place of detention, where they have remained since date. Cognizant that since India is one of Nigeria's biggest trading partners, there is a need to address those incidents of arrest and brutality so that they do not hurt the fruitful relationship that has been nurtured over the decades. The House do here resolve to 1, urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to declare the issue as one of national interest requiring urgent government attention. 2, also urge the Nigerian High Commission in India to explore diplomatic channels in ensuring that those arrested are released in appropriate cases or on bail pending further investigation where same is still ongoing. 3, send a delegation to India to ascertain the condition, state of health and mental well-being of the arrested students. And 4, mandate the Committee on Foreign Affairs to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the police brutality, arrests and malicious prosecution of Nigerian students with a view to finding a lasting solution to it and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Thank you, right honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Albert Adiogu is my name, representing the Central, South, and North of the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from the source. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Frederick Abedi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sani Zoro.
Thank you very much once more, Mr. Speaker. My colleague Sani Zoro from Jigawa State, representing Gumel, Sule, Megateli, as well as Gagarawa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I just want to bring to the attention of all of us to the cases of such nature in India, China, Malaysia, South Africa, Libya, and so many of them. And to the fact that this House, inasmuch as representatives of the people, we are obligated to defend and project the interests of Nigerians everywhere, but we must also be very careful not to be associated or perceived to be defending the criminal activities of Nigerians abroad. In this particular case of India, where some of us also have children and relations who are there as students, there is no doubt about the fact that so many Nigerians who pretend to be in India and such countries are actually part of an international drug ring. Some of them commit armed robberies. So many of them commit atrocities that are otherwise not tolerated even on Nigerian soil. Such crimes are punishable everywhere. There have been so many times in this hallowed chamber when some of us stood up to condemn the sentencing of Nigerians in Malaysia to death, having been found guilty of drug trafficking, or in some countries, Saudi Arabia and the rest of them, where clearly their laws do not tolerate such crimes and criminalities. In the case of India, for instance, sometime in the second quarter of last year, a Nigerian student was apprehended in a railway station, possessed of drugs. The Indian police apprehended him, took him to...
Bago has a point of order. Zoro, please hold on. Bago has a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, procedurally, the motion had just been moved and seconded, and the mover of the motion was not given an opportunity to even debate the motion, and somebody else is talking about the motion. So we need to give the mover of the motion opportunity to debate this motion before other comments can be made on the motion. That is my point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Well, it's not absolutely necessary, but the mover of the motion hasn't said he intended to debate it, and you can't be speaking for him. You are not an oracle here. So if he protests that he wants to speak to debate his motion, you will be given the right to do so, but you can't be hard to be making that case on his behalf. Honorable Fred, I beg, lead the debate. Then Sanzoro will take over from there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name still is Agbedi Yechemina Frederick. I represent Sabama Kerema. This motion is an investigative motion. It is a report coming from all the way from India, where some of our students are in school. Shidebuma is 19 years old, and Priscilla is 21 years old. These students have their parents in Nigeria, and they were in school when their landlord called them back to say they want access to their flats. And they came back, and all of a sudden, police rounded them up on the 30th of December 2017 and took them to several police stations in India, and then finally framed a charge against them on the 31st of December 2017. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, it is investigative because it is when it is investigated that the veracity as to the claims of the students as well as the Indian government can be ascertained. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I said this is an investigative motion. Mr. Speaker, we are a house representing the people, downtrodden people, and all the people of Nigeria, Mr. Speaker. If there is a situation in which our children are languishing in prison, if our students are not attended to because of one challenge or the other they have outside this country, then we have failed in our responsibilities. Because it is not he who goes to the police that is always right. It is not as if once a police arrests you, it is that you committed that offense that you are alleged to have committed. And that is why anytime there is an arrest, the person arrested or people arrested are considered to be suspects until they are taken to court and they are proven guilty. In this case, they have not been taken to court. They were not interrogated to be able to make statements. They were compelled to sign statements that were already written. And the students refused. In the course of that, the girl even collapsed and was hospitalized for 2 days. These are matters that concerns us as a house, concerns Nigerians, because these children are far away in a foreign country. And I expect that this house, in the way we work to protect our citizens, because the protection of our citizens wherever they live, wherever they reside, is the responsibility of the government of Nigeria. And of course, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, information has it that they are in prison, not even in police custody, till date that we're talking about. And up till date, it is also alleged that our ambassador in India has not also intervened in this matter. Mr. Speaker, even if at the end of the day, they are seen to have been students who committed a crime, they should be tried in the appropriate courts that will serve them justice. Anything that will amount to not serving them justice is denying them justice. And what can anybody do? Is it individuals? Is it their parents that can best protect and find out what is going on? No. It is the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is supposed to find out exactly what went wrong, what happened, and how they can be served justice. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we cannot just sit here to expect that because some Nigerians committed offense sometime in history, every Nigerian is prone to committing such offense. That is also not a correct assertion if anybody wants to impugn that in this motion. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what is important is that in Nigerian government, this house need to investigate this motion to be able to determine whether what India as a nation, the police authorities of India is doing is right or wrong, or whether what the claim of the students are is right or wrong in ensuring that these students are served justice. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I urge you to support this motion because all our children, most of us, or a number of us in this country, has our children studying in one part of this world or the other. And if incidents like this happen, it is only when the government of this nation intervenes that the children may have opportunity to be served justice. And so, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I urge you to support this motion in its entirety. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Sani Zoro, you are making submission. Conclude your submissions, please. Baka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues. Now, as I was saying, there is documentary evidence about the criminal tendencies and activities of Nigerians, including students, in so many parts of the world, that it will be unfair and immoral for the Nigerian House of Representatives to seek to defend such criminalities. In all these countries, including India, we have high commissions where there are dedicated consular sections that deal with these matters. Mr. Speaker, I want to guarantee and assure every one of us here that all these cases, including the cases mentioned in this motion, are documented in the Nigerian High Commission. So we do not need to waste the resources that we have, which we do not actually have, to send parliamentarians to go on a jamboree just to go and investigate cases when we can actually summon the Minister of Foreign Affairs or some officials of the Directorate of the Asian Directorate to give us evidence about this gentleman, first of all. Secondly, I have documentary evidence which I am ready to share with this House, if you so rule, of such so-called students, for instance, that have just finished serving 10-year jail terms in Iran. They were apprehended with all sort of drugs, trying to cross into Turkey, and they were apprehended. They have just served 10 years. Such people, what we need to do to them is to ask the Comptroller of Immigration to delete their names, you know, as passport holders of Nigeria. We have to be seen to be punishing them. Nigeria's image in the world is at stake because of the activities of these people who pretend to be going for students. Honorable Speaker, I am very much aware of the case in India. What happened is that the Indian police said, by their investigation, most of the students who are not resident in drugs, which are not acceptable to the Indian society, and they have the right to flush out these people wherever they are from. So some of our children whom we have sent to India also were caught up in the decision of the Indian High Commission not to give them visas sometime in last year. This was well known to everybody, and they said, look, we want to sort out our country. We are not ready just because you are going to give us money to keep giving you visas for people who will come and contaminate our society. We have the right to clean up our society, and Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, with due respect, if Nigeria is not ready to take the hard decisions to deal with such criminals, you know, in the country, we cannot stop India or any other country like China from hanging convicted drug traffickers, women traffickers, as all sorts of people that are outlaws in their own society. So, Mr. Speaker, as an amendment to the motion, first of all, there is no need to raise a panel to go and investigate. If we want facts, we can ask the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to give us facts about the specific cases of this nature. Otherwise, these cases they occur every day, and we do not have the resources to be raising teams to travel to all these places every now and then. If you want an investigation also, you can involve the Interpol. Nigeria is a signatory to Interpol principles, as well as other investigative agencies. You can use the services of the NIA, for instance. I therefore object to the provisions of this motion as canvassed by the mover. Thank you very much indeed.
Honorable Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Randolph Iwo Obeni Brown, representing the good people of Degema Bonifera Constituency. I'm a Rivers man. Mr. Speaker, as a matter of fact, Honorable Agbedi had done so well by bringing up this motion. Mr. Speaker, I was in Noida, in particular, in Ultra Pradesh in October. And you cannot imagine the level of humiliation Nigerians suffer in India. In October, late October, I witnessed a situation where a teenager of Nigerian parentage was raped in an Indian school. And the Indian police tried everything to suppress it. I also interacted with the Nigerian community, the president of the Nigerian Union in Noida, and all you hear is tales of woes, of humiliation, harassment, molestation of Nigerians in India. So I will urge this House, I will urge members to please, as a matter of urgency and necessity, to support this investigative motion, because the life of one Nigerian, if what Mr. Agbedi stated is an isolated case, there are more things that are happening, and there is need to protect any Nigerian that is passing through any form of discrimination and humiliation in any country. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge members to please support the motion. Thank you very much.
So, honorable colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Seventh order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the non-remittance of $3.78 billion gas revenue to the Federation account by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, standing in the name of Honorable Doe Diri. Honorable Diri is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, my esteemed colleagues. I remain Diri Doye, representing the wonderful people of Yenagoa, Kolokuma, Opokuma Federal Constituency in Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to seek the leave of this House to step down my motion because I have been told by a similar motion was moved, and so the Committee on Rules and Business will reconcile, and if there is need, it will be listed again. So, honorable colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I seek the leave of this honorable House to step down my motion.
Okay, and it took you that long? Item 7 on the order paper, step down by leave of the House. 8th order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration report of the ad hoc committee on petroleum industry and bill for an act to provide for the governance and institutional framework for the petroleum industry and for other related matters. Honorable members will recall the report was late on Tuesday, 16th January 2018. Honorable Alhassan Ado Garba, Honorable Alhassan Ado Dogwa will move for its consideration.
Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, Honorable Ado Alhassan is unavoidably out of the chambers. I'm mandated to stand on his behalf. My name is Honorable Victor Okolo, Deputy Chairman, Ad hoc Committee on Petroleum Industry Bills. I do rise to move that the House is up to the Committee on the Whole to consider the report. I so move.
Any seconder, Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. I second the motion as moved by the Chairman, Petroleum Officer. I so move. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 9th order of the day is consideration report of the Committee on Maritime Safety, Education and Administration Bill for an Act to establish the Nigerian Maritime University.
By the Chairman, Marine Safety Committee. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. 11th order of the day, honorable colleagues, consideration report of the Committee on Interior on the investigation into the outsourcing of issuance of travel documents, international passport, residence permits, and border surveillance and patrol by the Ministry of Interior and the Nigerian Immigration Service. Honorable members will recall the report was late on Thursday, 25th July 2017. Honorable Jagaba Adams Jagaba will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to apply that the item by 11 is stepped down as Honorable Adam Jagaba is not on the floor of the House.
Item 11 on the order paper, stepped down by leave of the House. guess that's the end of. Okay, we should. Sorry, honorable colleagues, I jumped the 10th order, really. I went to order 11. We've already decided on order 11, so we move to the 10th order. 10th order of the day is consideration report of the committees on petroleum resources upstream and public procurement and the investigation into the $260 million contract awarded by the National Petroleum Investment Management Services, NAPIMS. Honorable members will recall the report was laid on Wednesday, 20th December 2017. Honorable Victor Walker will move for its consideration.
Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, I remain Honorable Victor Walker, member representing Ika North East, Ika South Federal Constituency of Delta State. I do rise to move that the House do consider the report on the need to investigate the $260 million contract awarded by National Petroleum Investment Management Services, NAPIS. I so move.
Honorable Pondi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Julius Babus Opondi. I represent the very kind people of Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from Delta State. I rise to support the motion ably moved by Honorable Victor Onkolo. I just second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Acting leader, move that will resolve in the committee of the whole in order to consider the report.
Honorable members, I remain Honorable Mohamed Tair Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Gende Federal Constituency of Borno State, acting leader of the House by the grace of Mr. Speaker. I hereby move that the House do resolve the committee of the whole to consider reports. I so move.
Rules and business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Dr. Bode Ayonide. I represent Owo of Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by the acting leader of the House. I so move.
Before I put the question on that, let me announce the composition of the ad hoc committee on in-season killings and other security concerns in the country. Members as follows: Southwest Honorable Gafara Amire, Northeast Honorable Ismail Muazu, North Central Honorable Gaza Bevui, Northwest Honorable Abdullahi Ibrahim Kemba, Southeast Honorable Toby Okechukwu, South Honorable Diri Doe. The chairman of the committee will be Honorable Pali, Right Honorable Pali Rase, the deputy whip. Now, those in favor of the motion resolve into committee of the whole to consider the report say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. House hereby resolved into committee of the whole.
Honorable colleagues, yes, it's just because this bill, please, Deputy Chairman, you have to listen. It's just because this bill is very important and it's been passed by the Senate. The order of the document itself is not correct. That's the truth. The order is not correct. And that is what we have been trying to do in the last 5 minutes. So, I will now ask the Deputy Chairman of that other committee to speak to the report. This is the Senate version. Am I correct? Petroleum Governance Bill? Victor, take your seat first. I can see you are squeezing your face. The order is not correct. The document is not well prepared. It looks beautiful but not well prepared. So, but despite that, speak to the report.
Thank you for your position so far. What is actually the Senate version, which was brought out for concurrence. The committee, the other committee as a whole mess. I meeting where we formed a good number, a good quorum, we consider it as, and came to the conclusion that the Senate did a good job. However, the Senate accounts is fully. That's exactly what we have done. The report is mainly dealing only on governance in the institutions and framework. This is only a segment like we presented the bill. It's only to strengthen the institutions and a kind of giving policy making from those who will oversee the industry. Here is basically talking about only institutions. The issue of physicals, the other ones that affect the communities, those communities will come up much later. This is just only for these institutions which will allow the government to do doing this reading.
Talking about, take your seat. The institution you are talking about is some of the institutions will replace the NNPC. Is that what you are talking about? Because members should know what institution.
Thank you. What I'm talking about is institutions that we are breaking up NNPC. What we are talking about, DPR will form a kind of a separate entity that will be autonomous, that is no longer reporting to the minister. Minister will basically form only for policies, while the National Petroleum Commission will now oversee, that will be take over the functions of the DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources, that will have a better standing, that we're not giving them more powers, no longer going to the office of the minister to be taking instructions. They will have, and the framework here is giving them a full-fledged body without interference from anybody. That's what we're saying, strengthening the institutions that have been created. Then, there's also an investment aspect of it. That is, NNPC will be fragmented into separate entities that will solely take their decisions and report directly, not to the minister now, to the National Assembly. Because if you look at what we have done here, we make provisions where chief executive to be appointed and all that will need clearance from the National Assembly, not just ministers anymore.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of the Ad-hoc Committee on Petroleum Industry Bill and the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream. This bill has 133 clauses, 5 schedules, and of course the normal one, the explanatory memorandum and the short title. But the most important thing is it has 133 clauses. So we now therefore go ahead to pass the clauses. We are starting from page 15, clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, Clause 9, Clause 10, Clause 11, Clause 12, Clause 13, Clause 14, Clause 15, Clause 16. Carry me. Clause 16 is on one page. Okay, you are there. We are on the same page. No wonder. Have you memorized it, or do you have interest? Clause 17, Clause 18, Clause 19, Clause 20, Clause 21, Clause 22. Pass on side. Clause 22 is on one page. Clause 23, 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27, Clause 28, Clause 29, Clause 30, Clause 31. Warrior, are you a member of the committee? So we are Clause 31. Clause 32, Clause 33, Clause 34. Ado. Clause 35, Clause 36, Clause 37, Clause 38, Clause 39, Clause 40, Clause 41, Clause 42, Clause 43, Clause 44, Clause 45, Clause 46, Clause 47, Clause 48, Clause 49, Clause 50, Clause 51, Clause 52. Rita, take a seat. Clause 53, Clause 54, Clause 55, Clause 56, Clause 57, Clause 58, Clause 59, Clause 60, Clause 61, Clause 62, Clause 63, Clause 64, Clause 65, Clause 66, Clause 67, Clause 68, Clause 69, Clause 70, Clause 71, Clause 72, Clause 73, Clause 74, Clause 75, Clause 76, Clause 77, Clause 78, Clause 79, Clause 80, Clause 81, Clause 82, Clause 83, Clause 84, Clause 84 on page, listen please. Clause 84 on page 112 is named 88, so change it to 84. Page 112, instead of 88, put 84 there. Clause 85, Clause 86, Clause 87, Clause 88, Clause 89, Clause 90, Clause 91, Clause 92, you will comment on what the presiding officer has spoken on now. And on clause 92, did I mention 93? Now, what we have found out is that after clause 92, we will now begin to say, if you look at the provision of the bill itself, please, those who are interested should listen. The provision of the bill, clause 53 of the provision of the bill is exemption from stamp duty and other charges. That will now be clause 93. So, carried. So now give me the one that has page 120.
20, yes, sir. Yes, go to collect. That has page 120.
So for those of you who have the documents that has page 120, just listen to me first. We struggle to get to where we are. If you listen, you get what we are trying to do. Mine does not even have. So on page 120, you have certain exemptions from rates. That is, in the proposed bill, is clause 54. But in the recommendation, it now becomes clause 34. So do you have it here? So that is clause 34 now. So for those of you who have 121, for those who don't have, in the proposal, clause 55 is composition and appointment of the board. It now becomes the clause 35 that we want to do. And that is composition and appointment of the board. So clause 95 now. So clause 96, I think everybody has that. Terms of office of members of the board. So clause 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. One 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, conclusive evidence. 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, clause 116, clause 117, clause 118, Ado, we are passing your bill and you are not listening. What are you carrying? $124, 125, 126, 127, 147, if you go back to page 147, clause 126 is appropriately numbered 126, incorporation of the Nigerian Petroleum Liability Management Company. That's 126. If you go to page 150, adaptation of law is again referred to as 126, and that should be 127 now. Are you with me? Page 150? So 126 is labeled twice, so we now have 127. Adaptation of laws will now be 127 carried. So repeals, which is clause 127, will now be 128 carried. And so like that, 128 now becomes 129, savings and provisions. 129 transfer of bills of staffs will be 130 now. So 130, cessation of employment becomes 131. 131, application of subsisting contract will now become 132. So 132 short title is now 133. Okay, sorry, interpretation is now 133. Carried. So 166 short title becomes 133 now. 134, sorry. Clerk, 134. First schedule, second schedule, third schedule, fourth schedule, fifth schedule, explanatory memorandum, long title of the bill. So Victor, do you guys see why we said the document was not well prepared? No, we can't carry Doga. Doga ran away when he was prepared. The second report to be considered is the establishment of Nigeria Maritime University of Nigeria, or KENCOCO. That is an act to establish the Nigeria Maritime University, or KENCOCO, in Delta State, and for other related matters. House Bill 1032. And I invite the Chairman, Maritime House Committee on Maritime Services, Honorable Bago Mohammed, to speak to the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable colleagues, I am Mohammed Bago from Niger State. Mr. Chairman, we are here today to consider a report for an act to establish the Nigerian Maritime University in Okerekonko in Delta State for other related matters. You will recall that the above bill was referred to the committee on the 1st of June 2017. And after the public hearing, we looked into the necessary matters, and we have done the necessary inputs as a committee, and we are here with the report for consideration. Without belaboring issues, Mr. Chairman, if you permit me, the report is a very straightforward and easy report for us to consider. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the report is straightforward in title but complicated in presentation. So it has 27 clauses. Clause 1, Clause 2,
thought my voice I was preparing for the next campaign. Mr. Chairman, I am from Warri. I represent Warri Federal Constituency. I would want to make a remark. First of all, I would want to thank this House for considering this very important bill.
So that other members will not make this one as a point of reference for future engagement. At the place of point of order at the point of second reading, if you miss that, there was another opportunity at the point of even laying the report or even sending the report to the committee of the whole to do. But because we are politicians, we don't want our members to be shut out, but it should not be used as a point of reference. Because the remark you want to make now is going to be so general that it does not have space within the documentation of the committee of the whole. But because we are politicians, we're going to indulge you with that, but it will not be cited as a reference matter in the future.
Thank you. I was only going to address my chairman of the committee. But from my experience, Mr. Chairman, I have seen where issues of this nature sends nations, neighbors, into senseless wars, and people are killed for no just cause. I do not want, and I was never represented, to push people into war, but I am represented to be here to help solve problems. Mr. Chairman, I want to address the chairman of the committee that sometimes in December, he invited me to his office, and we had some discussions. I didn't approach him. And what we agreed, based on the outcome of the public hearing, I feel trembled by the chairman that some issues were raised which I do not want to go into. It is not in my interest to do that. And those issues, as we speak, are not addressed. And he didn't just make that statement to me alone. He actually called a section of people and equally promised same. And I would be very stupid, parliamentarily, if I stand here to want to oppose anything when I know that in parliament, the minority will always have their say. And the majority will have their way. But that always may not make it correct. That the chairman should have been at least sensitive enough to have kept to his promise. And I do not know why he has acted that way. Sensitive. I didn't say sensible. He's a very sensible man. To have done what he did makes him very sensible. But sensitive is what I used. So that is my position, and that I think is not fair enough. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Yes, you have spoken, but all other members, aside from the chairman, you are making reference to. Every other person does not understand what you have said. What is the issue, so that we can ask the chairman if he can make a remark on it before we go on with the bill. What is the issue itself? In 2 sentences, what is the issue?
The location of the university is not a problem. We all welcome the university. But what is said because of some issues that were raised at the floor of the public hearing, what he told everybody that was there, And what he invited me to his office to say was that, look, Dan, I understand the sensibility of this issue, which I understand more than himself. And I do not want to be seen as dragging us into it. The issue was that he said he was going to include in the bill that there were going to be 2 campuses to take care of this, to suit the problems of that area. And I do not see that. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. I want to first appreciate Honorable Dan Renejo. As the chairman rightly said, we are apolitical, but sometimes we let things happen politically. When you go to page 31 of this document they are about to consider, you would see the answer to your question was settled. However, Mr. Chairman, there was a petition through the office of the Attorney General of Nigeria, through the Speaker's office, and was referred to me. They have the Eshekiri and the Ijaw issues. And the issue was based on the issue of name, Okerekonko, and the Eshekiri people call it Okerewiwu. And when he came to me, even at the public hearing, I told them that the most important thing in this aspect is to have that school established by law. And you can have different campuses. When I was having discussion with Darren Ejo, I thought there was a town called Okerewiwu. But in my discussion, he made me understand, no, that it is the name, the pronunciation of the name that is now Ijaw pronunciation instead of Ishekiri interpretation. I said it was easy. That Mr. Dan and the entire people of Ishekiri land and kingdom, that look for any place that has large congregation of Ishekiri people and we domicile a campus of this university there to solve this issue. So I don't think it's something, and if you come to interpretation here, sir, I made it very clear, the definition of campus, so that that clause can be taken care of. There is no town called Okerewiwu. The only place that we have been to in Baramatu, I was there, Dan was there, and some members here. We went there on oversight, and we saw it is called Okerekonko. And this bill, yes, Dan had proposed it before now, but this one we are considering originated from the Senate. All we are doing is to concur and amend the amendable. And in our amendment, Mr. Chairman, you will see that those issues they are not fair to, we have taken care of them accordingly, sir. Thank you.
Much, Honorable Dan, thank you very much. You know that opportunity does not exist. You are not the author of the report, so you can't speak twice on it. That's why I gave you the opportunity in the first instance. Okay, Honorable Dan, even if I'm going to give you the opportunity, take your seat first. Now, we're at a point where we don't have to turn this one to arguments. You have stated your facts, and the fact has been, and in fact, let's tell you how far we have gone. We have even read a supposed document that contained the judgment, and we discovered that the position of Honorable Bago is a valid position because as of today, the only town that is known to Nigeria is Okerenkoko. So if there is any other thing that looks like a new information that you want to give us that will help the house, that you can do for the second time. But again, I don't want members to cite this one as a point of reference in future. Yes, we are in Abuja, and that's why I didn't want to mention it. He had mentioned it, and I will not respond to that. But the only simple thing I'm asking for is that he promised that he was going to name a town. That was what he told the people. In the bill, I will not lie against you, my honorable colleague. I will never do that. You said you were going to name Mr. Fred Agbedi. Please, I appreciate your sentiment. Please, please, please. Please, I am trying to only point out. has taken care of what you said you have taken care of.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In interpretation, we tried to define the word campus. And we said campus means any campus which may be established in each university. And we made it vague. Yes, we made it very vague so that in the future, when a town, and I asked Honorable Dan that which town outside Warri has the highest congregation of the Shekiri, we can decide to take a campus from this university to that location. But the issue of Okeregongo, I have the court procedures, the court ruling from 1902, even before independence on those issues. They gave those things to me. They're in my office. What I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, is that the most important thing today is that we establish by law a University of Maritime, a maritime university in Delta State. If we like tomorrow, we're Nigerians, and there's restiveness in Niger Delta, we can move that university. It does not belong to the people of Niger Delta. And I want to be quoted rightly. It belongs to Nigeria. And that is why, in carving out the name, the Senate, in its own wisdom, made it very clear. Not Maritime University of Okeregongo. They said Nigerian Maritime University. Then a comma before Okeregongo Delta State. That is, it's a maritime university of Nigeria, but situated now in Okeregongo. Tomorrow we can decide to take it to Delta or Rivers or anywhere. But my friend, in my discussion with even the entire Shekiri community, I made this very clear to them. And I said to them, you have to take advantage of what is on the ground. Mr. Chairman, let me tell you something. The people of Akwa Ibom, because of this bill, had approached the National Assembly with a proposed bill to amend the acts that established Maritime Academy of Nigeria, ORON, to make it Maritime University of Nigeria, ORON. We have done public hearing on that. That bill will also be presented to this committee ahead of time. And I told them in a closed door meeting, I said, listen, because of your position, that is why the people of Akwa Ibom State, who also are Niger Delta, want to take advantage and take it. Let's expedite action and make this university a fruition by law. Every other sentiment of campuses can be settled. And I give an example of Ife and Modakeke in the southwest. That issue happened. It was settled in the issue of campus. There was a university we just created last assembly, a new university, one of the southwest state again. We gave them campuses. That this is not an issue, we should not be a labor issue. The most important thing is that a university, Nigerian University established by law, situated in Delta State, and campuses can spread across Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
The matter for now, in respect of Honorable Dan Reneju. Honorable Dan Reneju. Honorable Dan Reneju. Honorable Dan. Don't let it look like that I don't have capacity for this seat. Please take your seat. Please, Honorable Dan, please take your seat first. Please take your seat first. Take your seat first. We started from the issue of Okerenkoko and Okerewowo, and that is not the issue now. You are, in principle, you have agreed that it was true that Honorable Bago and you agreed that there could be a campus of this university sometime in the future. So the question now is, and what you are agreed about now, is that a specific town is not named in the bill. It's not even a matter of Okerenkoko and Okerewowo now. So let's go ahead. He has a superior argument. Let's have a maritime university for Nigeria. Then we can sort out other thing. Honorable Dan. I've asked him, okay, what do you want? The speaker says I should ask you, what do you want?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the speaker is sitting as an honorary member now. So he cannot, Mr. Chairman, yes, the chairman is in control. Mr. Chairman, I truly appreciate, let people not misunderstand me. I don't want to be misunderstood. Mr. Bagbo is going into the areas where I do not want to go into. We welcome the university. But, Mr. Chairman, every other thing that will be done in this house today I want to remind this House that you do it according to laid down precedences and procedures. If you so like, let it go. But what I am saying, I never approached him. He invited me. You shouldn't have invited me in the first place for a discussion. And we agreed. And that issue has been taken far. So for him not to have put it down, he's telling me as if I am blind to say he has explained what campuses means. I understand what campuses mean. But you should have known that there are meanings of campuses in this bill before you said, give a city, which I gave to him. Cocoa, I gave you cocoa. Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten? I gave you cocoa. But, Mr. Chairman, please, I'm not going to speak anymore, and I'll probably walk out after this. But then, I want to say that I am not going into ownership of campuses or whatever. That issue is there for critical stakeholders of both tribes to settle back home there. That is up to them. But, Mr. Chairman, I want to plead that, and I request that that name for another campus be included in the bill so that we could have a fair
Mr. Chairman, I think on this issue, we just have to be properly guided. And the reason why I was suggesting that Dan, who is an old member of this House, should tell us what he wants was for us to understand what really does he want. And if you say, okay, you wanted campuses to be named in law, this House is guided by precedents. I don't think there's any university we have established by law where we stated in the law that the university shall have campuses in so and so places. I haven't seen that in any law establishing any university. The issue of campus is solely an administrative matter. So when the university is established, all they need is the legal charter for them to function. They can see that, say, okay, because of the peculiarity of the people of the Niger Delta, we have decided that we're even doing 3 campuses or even 4 campuses in some other states. That is administrative. So whatever it is can be cured administratively. But if you can point to one single law in establishing an institution that talks about the institution shall have campuses in here, fine. And we can latch it, since it's part of us. But there's no precedent. Which one? I said if President can allow, the House is not a banana house where we are guided by precedent. If President can allow, then we should oblige him. But I don't know if there's any law establishing an institution and talk about the institution shall have campuses in ABC cities. It's not done. All these things are done administratively. So when the university is properly constituted, because of the peculiarity of the environment in which the university is, they can say, okay, we want to have 3 campuses in town A, B, C. That is administrative. So that's just my appeal to him to understand. But we can't in the law state that the university should have campuses in 1, 2, 3 places.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dan. I think, Dr. Bode, I hope we are almost getting to a convergent point. I hope you are not going to widen the convergent point. So let's go ahead and do this bill. Clause 1, Clause 2, Clause 3, Clause 4, Clause 5, Clause 6, Clause 7, Clause 8, Clause 9, Clause 10, Clause 11, Clause 12, Clause 13, Clause 14, Clause 15, Clause 16, Clause 17. Ado. Clause Clause 18, Clause 19, Clause 20, Clause 21, Clause 22, Clause 23, Clause 24, Clause 25, Clause 26, Clause 27, First Schedule, Second Schedule, Third Schedule, Explanatory Memorandum, long title of the bill. The next report to be considered is that of Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream and Public Procurement. The lead committee in this is the Petroleum Resources Upstream, and I invite the Chairman as Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream to speak to the report.
Chairman, honorable colleagues, I'm Honorable Victor Wokolo, member representing the Kano East, Kano South Federal Constituency. The report we're about to consider is on the need to investigate the 260 million naira contract awarded by Nigerian Petroleum Investment Management Services and was referred to both committees of the House. The summary of the whole report is that it was referred to the House via a motion of 20th February 2016 as a result of a motion moved by a member alleging some sharp practices against a private company by Mobile Producing. Both committees held public hearing and sat over the issues raised, and the companies affected were also invited. The management and staff of the management of NAPINS, they were also invited. Mobi was invited, GMT, Chilon, they were all present at the public hearing. After careful consideration of the entire team, both committees, public procurement and the team, we came up with a report which we are to consider. And to the consideration also, the recommendations out of which the both committees.
This report has 5 recommendations. The only change I would want to make from the chair is, if you look at recommendation 1, instead of direct, you write urge. So recommendation 1, recommendation 2, recommendation 3, recommendation 4, recommendation 5. Acting leader.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I hereby move that the House do revert back to plenary to report progress.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion that the House will revert back to committee of the whole. Oh, to plenary. I'm sorry, Chairman. To report progress. Thank you, Chairman.
The House hereby reverts back to plenary to report progress. Honourable colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Ad hoc Committee on Petroleum Industry Bill on a bill for an act to provide for the governance and industrial framework for the petroleum industry and for other related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 134, the schedules, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Maritime Safety, Education and Administration on a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Maritime University or Kerenkoko, Delta State, and approved clauses 1 to 27, the schedules, the explanatory memorandum, and long title of the bill. The House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream and Public Procurement on the investigation into the $260 million contract awarded by the National Petroleum Investment Management Services, NAPIMS, and approved the 5 recommendations therein. Acting Leader.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby move that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Deputy Chair, rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to second the motion as moved by the Acting Leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Acting Leader.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby move that the House do adjourn to Thursday, the 18th of January 2018 by 10 a.m. Sorry.
Deputy Chair rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise again to second the motion that the House do adjourn to tomorrow, 11 a.m.
The House stands adjourned till tomorrow, Thursday, 18th of January 2018, 11 a.m.